Okay guys, here's hoping this works out okay. So today I'm going to show you how to make chicken yakitori. It is not a proper traditional Japanese recipe because it's been adapted to ensure that first of all we could get the ingredients for you to use in school, but also so that we could get it done within the time in the class. So this is what we're having for our lunch, so fingers crossed it works out okay. So step number one on our recipe is your mise en place. I know you can't see my whole kitchen, but I have got all my ingredients and my equipment ready. My oven is on at 200 degrees Celsius. If you've got a gas oven, that'd be gas smart 6. So I need to start making the sauce first. So I need to get my garlic, which I've got here, and I need 1 clove. Now, this is a bulb of garlic. Please don't use all of this. If you're going to use all of this, you definitely got have any vampires around you for quite some time. So to get a clove, I squash it and hopefully, there we go, it will start to come apart. And there we go, here are the cloves inside. You see these? Okay, so I want one of these. I'm going to go for this nice big fat one. And just get them off my board. Okay, so sharp knife. I'm going to use claw and I'm going to cut off the ends first. There we go. I've got a plate just here for my rubbish. Now that I've cut off those ends, I should be able to really easily peel off this outer skin. So, she says. Nearly there. If you leave some of the skin on, it's not going to kill you, but it's also not going to be a very nice texture. Okay, right, I need to get this really small. Garlic is a very strong flavour and it can be quite hot, so if you've got large chunks, it might not be that nice when you eat it. So, first thing I do, clove it again, is little slices. Turn it round. There we go. Right, and now what I want to do is really gather this together. I'm going to put the knife in the middle, fingers on top. I don't know if you can see, but my fingers are bending upwards. And if you notice, I don't have any down here under the blade of the knife. So fingers upwards, rocking motion, I go around like this. And that will chop the garlic really nice and small. Now you see it's flying off away from the knife, so I just carefully push it back down, get it back into a pile, and do that again. So you want to get this as finely diced as possible. If you have a garlic press at home and you want to use that, absolutely. But this is a great knife skill to have, especially if you're thinking about taking food as one of your option subjects for year 10 and 11. Right, I'm happy with that. So, really carefully, I've got a small saucepan ready. I'm going to put that straight into the saucepan. There we go. Right, I've not put that on the heat, I've just put it out of the way. So the next thing I need to prepare is, where am I on my steps? Finely diced the garlic and the ginger. So I need a rough 2 centimetres of ginger. So before I do that, I'm just going to wipe this knife down. Okay, so this is ginger. Fresh ginger root. It's got a really lovely smell, but it's also quite a strong flavour, so you don't need lots of it. So my recipe says 2 centimetres, so that's going to be about this amount, so I'll put a little bit of that down. Now, this skin is really woody, We don't want to have that in our sauce. So the first thing I'll do is take that off. Some people use a peeler, like a potato peeler. I'm just going to really carefully just slice it like this. There we go. Take that little bit down there off as well. There we go. Now the smell is amazing already. It's so fragrant. Right, next, I need to get this really small as well, because if you've got big chunks, again, like the garlic, it will be very strong in your mouth. So, claw grip, nice, thin slices first. Put that there. You'll notice I'm turning it as the knife is getting too close to my fingers. Okay, right, so exactly the same thing as we did with the garlic. Into a pile, knife in the middle, fingers on the top of the knife, this is called the spine, fingers pointed upwards, make sure the thumb is up and away from the bottom of the knife, and rock, pivot around the food. You'll notice my fingers are holding the knife, roughly pointed the knife here in one place, so it's literally rocking and pivoting. So, go back together. You will notice that the ginger has got these little hairs. I don't know if I could show you. I don't know if it's picking up at all on there, if you could see these hairs. There we go, you should be able to see that. It's quite a fibrous vegetable. So you really do need to make sure that you're not being too gentle, because you need to cut through those. Okay, I'm happy with that. That's quite nice and small, or maybe not that short. Let's just get that bit. There we go. So again, together, saucepan, pop it in there. Okay. Actually a teriyaki sauce that we're making. Very, very nice. You can use it on other meats, or if you're vegetarian, absolutely goes with things like corn. Right, next we need to start putting some actual liquid in there. So I'm just going to wipe this board down. Quick dry. There we go. Right, next, the liquid. So in the saucepan, let's get rid of that. I now need to put rice wine vinegar and soy sauce. So I need 20 millilitres of the rice vinegar. So I'm just going to get my measuring spoon. This is similar to the ones we have at school, except it's just one large piece of equipment rather than several individual spoons. So rice vinegar, I need 20 millilitres. So I'm going to go for this one, tablespoon, 15. And if I turn this around very conveniently, the other side, 5. So it's my 20. Then soy sauce. Soy sauce has gluten in it, so if you are gluten-free, you will need to make sure that you get the gluten-free version, which you can get hold of in most supermarkets. So the soy sauce, I need 60 millilitres. So, hang on, I've not opened it. Whoops, that's on the floor. There we go. Right, let's try that again. So 1 tablespoon, so 15 ml, 30 ml, 60 millilitres. There we go. Right, I also want in here some sugar, and that is 1 tablespoon, which I've already measured out. So there we go. And next, I think that is it. Yep. Oh no, water. I need tap water. So tap water, exactly the same as soy sauce, so 60 millilitres, so 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. Okay, now this needs to go on the heat. So I'm going to pop it on my ring. It wants to be on a gentle heat, so I'm not putting it on one of my larger rings. I know you can't see it at the moment. I'll just try and lift it up. There we go, there it is. So it's not on one of my largest rings, so I lift that up, it's quite a small one. I want to put it on to simmer, which is not boiling, which is lots of bubbles, it's just gentle. There we go. So that is now on. Right, so what I would do now is every now and then I will give that a stir with my wooden spoon, but generally that's okay ticking along by itself at the moment. So next, I'm going to finish preparing my vegetables before I touch the meat, which is chicken. So I have got spring onions. I've only got 2 because I'm making this for me and for my 2 girls, and they're not particularly keen on spring onions. So what I need to do first is remove this outer leaf and the root, which is here, this root bit. So what I do is claw, cut off the end. Then I feel along the spring onion, and at the point where it starts to feel really squidgy, which is about here, I'm going to cut that off. Don't want these bits. If you've got a compost heap, I believe these could go on it. Then with this, I want this outer bit taken off, so I just gently pull these outer pieces off, and that should do it. So I'm going to do the same to the other one. Cut off the root, feel it on, find a bit where it starts to go squidgy, and then gently pull these down. There we go. Right, just giving my sauce a quick stir. Next, I want to cut these to go onto my skewers, which are these, the wooden sticks. So if I did really small bits like this, that's not going to go on the skewer without falling apart. That's ridiculously small. So what I'm going to do is I want large chunks, and to make it a little bit more fancy, I'm not going to cut straight through like this. I'm going to cut on what's called the bias, so diagonally. I'm just going to turn the heat down on my sauce because it's getting a little bit ferocious. There we go. I'm going to go for about 2 centimetre sizes. Cutting them just like this. There we go, that'll do. Really easy. So this is called cutting on the bias. So I'm going to leave them there. No, I'm not. I'm going to put them in this bowl. Perfect. Okay, so next, my sauce is starting to bubble away. Just giving it another quick stir. I'll just see if I can show you it. There it is. Okay, so you can see all the garlic and the ginger. Quick stir. You can see there are not loads and loads of bubbles. It is not boiling. If you allow it to boil, too much of the liquid will evaporate out and the sauce will reduce too quickly, and it will become very, very strong in flavour, and also you won't have enough sauce to put onto your actual yakitori sticks, skewers. Right, I need to prepare the meat. Now, because I have prepared all my veg, I can just use all this absolutely fine. I am just going to wipe my knife down. And I'm just going to put my garlic and ginger out of the way. So, raw meat. We have to be careful with it. These are chicken thighs, okay? You could use chicken breasts, absolutely fine, but I wouldn't use drumsticks and things like that because you want to have quite large pieces of the meat. So, to do this, I don't want the skin. The skin literally, you see, just pulls off. Take that off. Now I've got a plate. I know you can't see it, it's just out of the video shot. I've got a plate for rubbish. I'm putting it straight on that plate because I don't want it kicking about. Because remember, this is raw. There potentially could be food poisoning bacteria on here. During the cooking process, those food poisoning bacteria will die. Right, so I'm going to start with just those two. I have got a bone in the middle. Obviously, if you're using chicken breast, you don't need to worry about that bone. But what I'm going to do first is try and really carefully cut that bone out. Okay. My knife doesn't feel like it's sharp enough. Maybe I need to sharpen this afterwards. Okay. Two bits there. You probably only need one of these per person. So in fact, I might put that one back. So there's only 3 of us. And we'll have that for the tea later. Away. Oops. There we go. So you can see if you've got breasts, chicken breasts, then that will be a lot easier. Right, okay, so I want to cut these into chunks that will go onto the skewer. You want to try and make sure that they are equal in size. That is because if you've got a very small one, that's going to cook a lot quicker than a larger one. So you could end up, if you have all different sizes on your skewer, with some that burn maybe, and go a little bit too crispy, and some that are still a little raw in the middle, which we absolutely do not want. Okay. Okay, that should do it. Great. Don't need my knife to get rid of that now. Remember, do not put a sharp knife into the washing up bowl unless you're actually there and washing up at the time. Don't ever leave them to soak in the bowl because you can get it's in there, or if someone else puts their hands in the washing up bowl, it could end up hurting them. Right, so I'm going to start putting together my skewers now. So these are my wooden skewer sticks. You can see you've got a sharp end and then a blunt end. Okay, I don't know if you saw that. Oh, there we go, there's a sharp end. You need to use the sharp end to push through the actual meat and so on. So I have soaked these in water beforehand as well. That should help these stop smoking and burning in the oven. Right, so all you do is literally push down. There we go. This will be one of mine because I'm putting a piece of the spring onion on. It's not a leek, it's a spring onion. Push through, be careful with your fingers please. It's chicken yakitori, not human finger. Try and get this through the middle. So, and from there. Okay. Oops. There we go. go. Just space it out a little. So there's my first one. I know it's not the most elegant, but it will do. Put that on the baking tray ready. I'll do one for one of my girls. If you've got things like baby onions, would probably go well, or chunks of onion. Pepper was very nice on this, bell pepper. Oh, I might go back to cutting my chicken after all. There we go. I've got enough there. Yes, enough for me. One more skewer. Remember to watch fingers. You might have metal skewers at home. Perfect, because you're not then, like obviously these wooden ones you wouldn't normally keep after they've been used, they'd have to be thrown away. So metal ones obviously you're not going to throw away, so a little bit more environmentally friendly, less waste. And there we go, that's a bit small. Okay, so I'm going to move this. So here are the skewers that I've just made. Now, please remember you are handling raw chicken, so don't be touching your face or anything like that, and don't be touching like books or your phone or anything before you've washed your hands. So what I'm going to do now is I want to put a bit of the sauce, the teriyaki sauce, onto here. So I'm just going to wash my hands because I'm going to touch the camera. Okay, so here is the sauce bubbling away still. There it is. Oh, you're not getting a very good shot at that. You'll see it in a moment. So, this is hot. Okay, I'm just going to move the spoon. All I'm doing is I'm using a pastry brush to lightly brush it directly onto my skewers, like so. Now, in an ideal world, I would probably do this about an hour beforehand and then put these into the fridge with the sauce on, because then they will marinate. Marinate means that the flavour of this sauce I put on will really go into the meat and permeate the meat and make it so nice and tasty. But because I'm doing this as if we were at school and we've only got 1 hour, we wouldn't have time for that. So you can see I've not used all of the sauce, and this sauce is very liquidy still. I want to reduce this sauce now that is left. So I'm going to put it back onto the heat and I'm going to let it simmer away whilst I cook this chicken. So this is now going to go in the oven for 20 minutes. Just pop this in. I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes. Set timer for 20 minutes.
Timer is set for 2 minutes.
No, not 2 minutes.
Okay, your timer is set for...
There we go. Okay, so set the timer for 2 minutes. My sauce, I can move this now so you can see it, is going to sit and simmer. That's the bit of chicken I'm going to put back in the fridge. In 20 minutes time, we'll come back and I'll show you how to finish this off. Okay, so I've got just on 5 minutes left on my timer, and as you can see I have started to make some noodles to go with this, which are virtually ready. Let's have a look. Yep, they're nice and soft. So I'm going to turn my gas off and drain this. Okay, so this is only our lunch, so we don't need lots and lots. Pop this on the top. Will do for me. That's one for my girls. Okay, so if I just move my sauce back over here, you will see I'll lift it up that has gone. It doesn't look great in the camera, but it's much thicker. It has reduced right down. So I'm happy with that. When the chicken comes out of the oven, that is going to be going onto the chicken. Now, I'm also going to use some sesame seeds, which I have got, there we go, which are here. You can get black ones and you can get white ones. I've chosen to use white because if you think about the colour of that sauce, it's very dark and I want a colour contrast if I move that round. So I've just got a really tiny little frying pan. I'm going to pop some of these sesame seeds straight in. No oil, this is dry frying. You could use the sesame seeds without doing this, but if you toast them, it brings out their oils and flavour, and they are much nicer. So just turn our heat down. So this only takes about 30 seconds once the heat gets going properly. You can see I'm just moving them around in the pan, and they will gradually take on a darker colour. They're going to add a different texture to my dish because they're going to add a slight crunch. And as I said earlier, they are also a lighter colour, so they're going to be a nice contrast against a darker teriyaki sauce on my chicken yakitori. Moving it round. Hopefully you should be able to see they are starting to darken. I know you can't smell this, but the oils are starting to be released by the sesame seeds, so I can start to smell them. You can hear them. Typically you can't right now, but they're starting to sort of crackle a little bit. They don't need to be on the heat for long. You really don't want to burn them. There we go, that should do it. So lift it up a little so you can see. More golden sort of colour. Turn the heat back off. So you can sit there, little buns. There we go. Right. So my chicken is about to come out of the oven, so I need to make sure I've cleared a space to put them. So I'm just going to move these. My oven gloves ready. Now, if we were in school, we would be using the temperature probes, and we would be placing the needle of the probe straight into the middle of one of the largest pieces of chicken. I will show you one of these in your lesson. I would be putting the needle probe into the middle of the biggest one because that is the one that's going to be the coldest, and the temperature I would be looking for is 75 degrees Celsius. If it's under, I would put the chicken back in a little longer. However, I don't have one of these at home, so what I would do instead is find the biggest piece and just gently use a clean knife to cut it open so I can check that it's completely white all the way through. So my timer is literally about to go off. Always remember, oven gloves, please. Here are mine, not your tea towels. You know, if the tea towel is wet, then that will allow the heat to transmit through and could end up burning. Right, so I know you can't see my oven at the moment, but all these look good. Down, and hopefully, if I turn it around, should be able to see them. There we go. Right. So, clean knife. I just need to grab. Biggest piece, this one here, looks like it's quite big, so cut through the middle. And I'm looking, and it is white all the way through, which I know you guys can't see, unfortunately, but I'm happy that they are cooked. So, my sauce I'm going to bring over. You could use pastry brushes as long as they are clean, which actually I might do. If you have not washed these since you used them to put the first bit of the sauce onto the yakitori, then I would not use them, because if you think about it, that pastry brush has touched raw chicken. So you would, if you haven't washed this pastry brush, be putting the bacteria onto your cooked chicken. You are not going to be putting these back into the oven, which means that those bacteria would not die. Therefore, you could end up giving yourself food poisoning, and we don't want that. Right, so I've put a nice layer of that sauce on there. Then I'm going to turn them round. Oh, they stuck a little. My fish slice. Underneath this one. Same time. And then two over. You see the difference in colour. There we go. So, more sauce. This has reduced down so much. A lot of that water content has evaporated out, so it's a really nice, strong flavour now. So you don't need lots. There we go. Right. So choose that one. Goes onto my plate. My other one. Like that. There we go. Let's just move this back so you can see this as well.